Attention, bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen! Hello, yodelers! We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I am your host today, Peter, with my co-host
Jackie
and
G5th.
And today we're going back to Epcot. Yes! Not just any Epcot, old Epcot. 80s and 90s Epcot.
Old school Epcot. Old school
My-
cool Epcot.
My favorite topic ever.
I'm starting to see why it's so enticing.
Oh, it's so
Really?
great.
I think it's so boring.
I think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think I'm like, oh my gosh. And you see what it was planned for.
Right.
And then you see what Epcot's now, and you're like, oh my gosh. Epcot now is a dumpster fire.
Oh, it totally is. Absolutely.
Plan-wise.
No way.
It's-
Oh,
I
yes.
disagree.
It's totally a
but-
dumpster fire. I guess I'm becoming more altruistic of like, man, we had this great themed park
Yes.
for like helping mankind.
Oh, as far as like mankind,
Theming, and
yeah.
now it's all like, whoa, we've got hungover, Lieutenant Dan leading us to Mars. We have crash dummies and like test track
Let's
and like
drink around the world.
I mean,
yeah.
I get it. It's like they totally took like a Band-Aid effect on the park, and they're like, let's just throw in little good
they
attractions.
just took a bulldozer and bulldozed that whole idea.
Oh, yeah, they did.
There's nothing there anymore.
And so now you've got an idea of why Disney fans have such like this like hatred and love towards Epcot.
Because you got World Showcase, and you love that.
I love World Showcase. I know
Yes.
some people just don't. They're like, whatever.
And then the front's just like, yeah, I get it. It's like a mismatch.
But if you're a casual like Disney World fan visitor, Epcot's fun for like the World Showcase.
Yes.
Like coming
Yeah.
in and going with the food and yeah, I've drank the Kool-Aid. I've seen the vision and what it's about, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Jackie's giving us tickets like, I get it.
I don't know. I will still take all the test track and whatnot over these older attractions.
Oh no, I want to go back to some of them.
There's some good music too.
All you have to
Oh,
do
the music.
is ride Spaceship Earth and just listen to the old overlay ride through.
Which one?
Uh,
Jeremy
any-
Irons,
any-
Cronkite.
Any of them,
I don't even remember what the
and
other
it will
guy-
be the same effect.
I don't even think I wrote down the other guy's name.
So, but last time we talked about Universe of Energy and Horizons.
Yeah, Horizon was kind of like the finishing like place.
Yeah.
It's like it was about the future.
Mm-hmm. And now we've got 3 more attractions / pavilions.
How many are there total? Was there like
So
7?
let's see here. So there's Universe, Wonders of Life, Horizons, World of Motion, Spaceship Earth, The Living Seas, The Land, and the Imagination. So 8.
8.
Oh, well, 9 if you include Communicore.
What was Communicore?
Interventions.
Oh, okay. So it's a meet and greet now.
Yeah. Or, yeah, or bulldozed nothingness now. It's a dirt lot. But we're going to start things off with World of Motion. Jackie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the exciting World of Motion
Why
that
don't you get us
passionately love?
Going.
All right. Have you ever wondered how the wheel was created?
J5 wants to know.
Well, this was the purpose of the attraction. It was kind of a similar specs of Spaceship Earth, of discovery of what communication.
Yes.
But this was the World of Motion. It was inspired by the old it's not an attraction, but pavilion
For
of
the World's Fair.
from the World Fair.
Which we discussed.
Yes.
And our World's Fair episode, go back and listen to
What's it called?
The Ford, shoot.
It's on the episode.
It is. It's like the Ford Skyway something. I forgot what it was called. It's been a long.
But the
it's been a long
episode,
road trip.
it should
It's
say
all there.
the 19.
Yeah, 1964-65 World Fair.
Yeah.
Um.
It's one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. It
It
is.
Yeah.
just seems like
It's-
yesterday.
It's early. It's with our old audio.
Early-
It is
old
episode
audio.
47, Disney 1964/65 fair.
Yeah.
And I did an intro on that one.
Wow, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was
Yeah.
quick.
Time flies.
So this attraction was sponsored by General Motors, and it opened 1982. Shocker, since it was original attraction to Epcot.
Last year.
Oh, we did.
We did this episode. The
first half.
The first Epcot episode we did was August 2022.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
no, it's
I'm
okay.
getting distracted. Squirrel.
And the attraction ended and closed officially in 1996. So it's about a little under 14 years.
I don't remember riding this ride.
I don't remember it. We have our dad, Father Yodeler. He did take video of it, but it wasn't very good video. You couldn't really see. It was dark.
It's 19.
Yeah.
It's the
So-
90s video camera
And
quality.
there
Tap,
are
tap, 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 tap. Yeah.
ride through videos on like YouTube. They aren't great quality to see like what's actually in the attraction.
Because again, it's 90s video
Yeah.
recording.
And-
No one was going on with an ultra high high definition camera.
in the 90s.
it was hard to see because it was a dark ride. The ride vehicle was an Omni Mover. The ride vehicles look like similar to what the People Mover have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the premise of the ride was to be a humorous look into history of transportation from ancient days of foot power through the time into future. I thought it was funny. It was like humorous.
Humorous.
Yeah.
Was it funny?
It's
There's
the
fun
there's
animatronics
animatronic
throughout
gags.
it.
It's what's his name? Mark Davis. He's the guy behind like a lot
What-
of the
what was-
Jungle Cruise gags.
Oh, okay.
It
and
was
things like that.
designed by Ward Kimball.
Ward Kimball. That's who I was thinking.
Yeah.
Ward Kimball. Yeah.
This was the only attraction the animator ever worked on. So the humor was evident in such gags used chariot sales and world's first traffic jam. And there was a fun song with it. It's called "It's Fun to Be Free." Can you guess who wrote it,
No.
Japheth?
No.
Do you know, Peter?
Isn't the Sherman Brothers?
No.
Oh, it's X.
It's
it's
X.
Extensio.
What other song did he write?
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep, the classic Yo-Ho.
Yo-ho.
And I'm sure Peter will put in a clip.
Sure, I can put it in there.
Yeah.
Insert here.
It's fun to be free, to be on the move, to go anywhere with never a care, to do all there is to be done. It's fun to be free, it's fun to be free, to be on the move, to ride or to hike, wherever you like to. Thrill to this beautiful land. Is everybody happy? You'll see what living can be. It's fun to be free. Yes, sir.
Fun to be free.
Um,
There's your clip. No.
Yeah. It's a good song. I like there's like a solo version,
Yeah.
which I like. I listened to like the kind of like choir version of it, and it wasn't the same. It's fun more as like a solo.
I kind of
The
remember
one guy.
Dad playing the music.
Yeah.
Like with mine, I remember hearing the song, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing this a lot growing up. And yeah, when you have a
Never
Disney
connecting the
dad
dots,
does that.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so this attraction featured over 185 animatronics.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. And there's like, and they're all different, like different scenes, different parts of history, animatronics. It took guests through somewhat humorous displays, everything from the birth of transportation, the invention of the wheel in Babylon, and it spread to different lands like the Trojan horse, of flying machines, birth of steam engines, world's first traffic jam, and so on.
This is the attraction that also inspired the gag in The Simpsons, where
Oh yeah.
they go on and they're like, "I am an electric vehicle. I
No.
don't move very
No
fast."
one likes me. Yeah. We're sponsored by big oil companies. You're like, of course. It was
Right.
kind of like a mix of like the two.
Universe
like,
of Energy and World of Motion.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I still think that about that gag when
Oh, yeah.
I see an electric vehicle. No one likes me.
It has like this weird like light kind of show or like ending to
Yeah.
it.
all these
All of
rides,
them.
they're like, all right, we're going to cater towards our people that like to enhance their mind
Right.
with
Yes.
A laser
with
shows.
with things that they put in their body. All right.
Yeah. There's lots of like mirrors and lasers at the end, and then at the end of the attraction when you get off, you are greeted with like motor vehicles.
But who's the first sponsor?
General Motors.
General Motors. So they've always.
Yeah, so General Motors had
They had it for a while.
They
It's
had-
only recently that Chevy.
It was like Chevy, and then I thought it was GM had
GM
Test
had
Track.
it. So General Motors had it for a while. It closed
Right.
because they were renewing the contract from like year to year at that point. Because I think the business wasn't doing as well.
Right.
And then it then switched over to a popular attraction in Epcot, Test Track. There were delays with Test Track.
Because a car crashed into a wall.
Yeah, I heard a cast member tell because he's on the monorail team right now, and we did like a backlot tour with them for the monorails, and he explained that they were playing with the speed of the car on the track, and it went too fast and it crashed into the wall.
So I've got a deeper story because
Oh.
Mission Space is right next to Test Track. So you get people that are cross-trained. And so that's true, what
Yeah.
you just said. But there was a guy who was riding the ride, the vehicle before that. He got on. He
Oh,
was supposed to be
wow.
on the other vehicle, but he's like, I'm going to launch soon. Leave it to people, and they're like, hey, I got to get to lunch, all right? And he was supposed to be in that one vehicle that, like, went off.
someone
And
in
went
there?
No, like, he was in the vehicle before.
Oh.
And so nobody was in the vehicle that crashed,
It was
but
just like
he
a
was supposed to
weighted
be
dummy.
in the vehicle that crashed into the
Right.
wall. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was like, whoa.
That's the reason why Test Track really isn't that fast.
So you see those dummies? Those are actually human beings.
Those were Imagineers.
Those were dead Imagineers. It's like when Elon Musk sent somebody up into space. I mean, there was just an astronaut in that car.
Right.
No dead body. I'm not saying there's a dead body in there, but
Yeah. Overall, my feelings with the attraction is, I feel like they could have done more. I was disappointed in the ride vehicle. You know, it's World of Motion, automobile.
let's get you in the world's most boring vehicle.
Yeah. It really was. It just like,
It would have been better if you were in like, you know, Mustangs and things like that. Like in
Right.
the World's
Some that
Fair.
roared like like Sebulba's pod,
Pod racer.
Like,
or maybe Bobby Boucher's lawnmower from Waterboy.
That's it.
like I wouldn't mind different ride vehicles that like throughout history.
Yeah.
So you got like I don't know, like the old.
You got
like,
a Mr. Toad vehicle.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was kind of going with my idea that we were discussing earlier, mismatched ride.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that would have been a lot cooler. And I think I like the music and the lyrics of it, but I think just like the overall, I don't know. What's the right word? A company or whatever. Could have been a little bit more, but that was back in the 80s.
This is also at a time when like the sponsors had major say on
Yeah.
what the attraction was going to be about, and like it kind of handcuffed Disney to go along because they were paying for it.
Right.
Disney. So it's like, okay, we'll do what you want.
And the attraction was a very like kind of like a humorous informational attraction, kind of what.
All of Epcot was
Yeah.
back then.
Is the edutainment
Yeah.
aspect.
I think it would have been a great attraction in like a museum.
And the Smithsonian. And not the fun one with like Robin Williams and Ben Stiller, right?
Yeah. I mean, I never rode this attraction, but I'm
Yeah,
okay.
you did. You were Mama Belly.
Yeah, because I could tell.
Could.
You're like, whoa, Mom, slow down. We must be in the world of motion.
I'm falling asleep to the narrator.
He was not very.
He was so monotone. The narrator on this
Yeah.
attraction was very monotone. It's just like couldn't get.
They're like, this ride's way too exciting. Let's bring it down a notch. Let's bring this guy in.
Let's get my old science professor. He'll be great. But that's the world of motion.
The world of motion. All right, thank you. Next, I've got the next one. I've got the Wonders of Life Pavilion. If you don't know where this was located in between where Universe of Energy / Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and where Horizons / Mission Space is located.
Body Wars.
That's right. We're gonna get into Body Wars. That's probably most of it because that's the main.
I just remember Mom told me I couldn't go to one area. It was like the
Making of Me
the
movie.
Making of Me movie.
I just watched that today, and I'll talk about.
It's
that.
basically like the sex talk,
Oh,
It is.
but it's done by like Spock, right?
No, it's by Martin Short.
Martin Short. Okay, totally off on that one. Did you ever hear Captain Hook's French?
Well, you're mixing it up with Body Wars because Leonard Nimoy did direct.
He did direct that.
He
Okay.
directed that. That's where you're thinking Spock. But again, I'll get into that. So get into myself.
I'm stealing your stuff.
So the story of Wonders of Life goes back all the way before Epcot was even built. When they had decided kind of what the general layout was going to be, they knew they were going to do a medical or a fitness exercising pavilion. But they couldn't find any sponsors. They had some pretty grand ideas for it. It actually didn't get built till, what did I have? It opened in 1989. So we're
Whoa.
talking like 7 years after Epcot
Wow.
was even opened. But the original idea is very similar to what we got, but it's different. So
Now they sell plants during the
well, for a
garden.
long time it was the festival pavilion.
Yeah.
But
I always thought it would have been the coolest Tron building ever because it's just the
Oh,
shape
yeah.
that it was.
It's
It was
a-
geodesic and
but it was going to be a round building with an attraction kind of off to the side where you get shrunken down and you go through the human circulatory system. And the attraction was talked about being kind of like a Peter Pan attraction where your vehicle's hanging, but it's an omnimover, so it's continuously moving. And they had a bunch of smaller pavilions, smaller attractions in there as well, including one where you're inside a mouth, and you're viewing the perspective of somebody through their mouth.
Is that video? They're like showing like people kissing and like drinking.
Well, this show never happened.
Oh, okay.
This show never happened.
Because there's like a video that floated. I remember seeing where they're like, "This is what it looks like when you kiss," and you're like, "That's gross. That's yucky." I'm like 28. It's like, "No, stop it. I don't want to see that."
I know, it's great. Yeah, so they couldn't find a sponsor. It was asking a lot of money at the time. It wasn't until the late 80s that Disney started working with MetLife. That was who they were doing their insurance with.
An insurance company.
Yeah.
That's who they were doing their insurance
You guys
with.
got lots of money.
Yeah. And so they were able to work out an arrangement to make the Wonders of Life Pavilion.
There was actually a copay to get into the actual pavilion back in the day. No, I'm just joking.
But there was at least a couple different names for it. One was the Modern Medicine and Healthy Lifestyles Pavilion. That was the original.
Boy, that's a mouthful.
Right? Let's go to the Modern Medicine and Healthy Lifestyles Pavilion. No, I don't think so. Let's see here. So they end up building this pavilion. It's that gold dome that's kind of now hidden by trees because Disney doesn't want you to look back there anymore.
They didn't paint it the invisible green paint yet.
Not
Pay
yet.
no attention
Not
to
No,
yet.
the
that.
green and the blue. Yeah.
Not
Pay
yet.
no attention to this old building right here.
But it's a 65-foot dome with 50,000 square feet inside. So a lot of real estate here.
There is.
It's a big pavilion.
Yeah.
Several different attractions that they were built.
And it's just such an empty, wasted space when I was
It's
there.
still there, right?
the building is still there.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about what was planned and why that's not happening anymore and why it's still a vacant building.
Bats. Lots of bats.
But they knew they needed some sort of an attraction. They had this idea of going through the human body, but they're like, it's going to be too expensive.
Like, which hole do we go in? Is it the ear?
Right. And so they're like, and so they're trying to look for alternatives. Well, shortly around that time, Disneyland opened a new attraction called Star Tours. And they're all like, boom, this is perfect. We can use that.
Copy, paste.
Pretty much.
It is.
Pretty much.
I loved the ride when I rode it as a kid.
Body Wars?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I rode it twice.
So, well, there probably wasn't a wait at the time, which I'll talk about. But you keep getting ahead of myself. Yeah, so they needed a big thrill attraction, and this was going to be Epcot's first thrill attraction.
How sad.
I know.
Body
How
Wars
sad.
was the first thrill attraction. It was actually going to come out after Disney World's version of Star Tours was going to come out, but the people at Disney were all like, no, we need to give this pavilion some attention. So they opened it 2 months before Star Tours at the MGM Studios.
You imagine the one kid that rode Star Tours first time was like, hey, they stole Body Wars.
But they talked about the irony of the situation of how so the original plan for this attraction was an Omni-Mover attraction that shrinks you down and goes through the body. Well, that's a very similar idea to what they actually built at Disneyland with Adventures Through Inner Space.
That's what I thought.
Where they shrunk you down and you go into a snowflake. Well, what happened? Star Tours ended up taking over that space. And,
It's kind of ironic, right?
And then they use that same technology to basically replicate the old attraction that Disneyland had over in Epcot.
Clever girl.
They looked for a director for it. They couldn't really find a good director. They ran into Leonard Nimoy, who at that time was kind of like, I want to be a director. I'm kind of tired of being in Star Trek.
He directed Star Trek movies.
Yeah, he was kind of done doing Star Trek movies.
Oh, okay.
He was like, I want to step away from this. And so this was one of the things that he did, was this.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
It's a very entertaining
There's suspense in it.
It's a journey through veins, the lungs, the heart, and the brain. So it was an exciting attraction. I mean, it's a Star Tours, right?
I had fun.
It's a Star Tours ride. It had a lot of problems, though. Problems that Star Tours didn't have. One, the movement didn't match the movie at all. At all. It got people really sick to the point where Disney had to cut 20 seconds of the ride out when they're in the lung.
Oh, yeah, because
of the movement. And if you watch the video footage, you can see the edit, and it's all like, wow, that's pretty blatant.
it's pretty abrupt.
That's pretty blatant edit right in the lungs. It's kind of funny. But yeah, and it was a big success when the attraction opened in October 19th, 1989. The inside of the pavilion was decorated to be very bright, vibrant, kind of circusy. They wanted it had that like 70s, 80s kind of. They wanted to make
like color scheme.
The subject matter of health and exercise to be fun.
It's like a jazzercise video.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
What, like, if you think of like interior design, just think of like an old jazzercise video, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see it now.
Right. And they even had Rolly Crump design one of those mobiles.
Yeah.
That hang up above at the top of the pavilion. But they had several other attractions there. It wasn't like some of these other pavilions that we've already talked about. Where it was just one attraction. This one had several different
It was
ones.
like a convention center almost,
And
of
this-
like health, like booths to go visit.
Right, and this was kind of the general idea that like a lot of Imagineering wanted to go through going forward in the future. Like they wanted to do that with like Tomorrowland. They wanted to just make a giant bubble with like 5 different attractions inside of it. That was like the original idea behind Space Mountain. And things like that. They liked this whole like pavilion sort of environment because they felt like they can control more and do more with it, which ended up not being the case.
And then the accountant shows up and he's like, nah. And then the lawyer shows up and goes, nah. And then you end up with like a broken down ride.
Right. But the pavilion cost about $90 million to make, so it was very expensive. But
it's so short-lived.
Yeah, I was like, how long did it last?
This story is probably the saddest.
Is this a ghost story?
This is the saddest story of all the pavilions in Epcot.
Someone haunting a bathroom?
No, it's just the story of the pavilion itself, of like how it lived and how long it lasted.
It was so
it's
short-lived.
so sad because this was, because it came so late in the game, this was almost like the transitory pavilion that pushed Epcot to what we have it now. Because of Body Wars. That thrill attraction, like, oh, we got to do more. And then they're like, okay, well, let's close World of Motion because it's boring.
It is.
And so we'll build Test Track.
We called the police. We had another person pass out of boredom. You see them running with a wheelchair out, or they get the stretcher, and it's like, do 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 do.
They closed that one down, and then they closed Horizons down for Mission Space, and so like Epcot was going
Horizon
to
was sinking into the ground.
It was. Oh yeah. But there were several other attractions that were in there. There was Cranium Command, which I'll talk about here in a minute.
Oh yeah, Cranium Command.
Cranium Command was cool. The Making of Me, which is the sex talk.
Mom did not want me to go see that at the age of 7.
I just watched it. Like, yeah, like it's the sex talk, but like they're pretty discreet about it. So it's I feel like it's actually a pretty entertaining movie that I watched. I watched it earlier today and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. It's entertaining. It's Martin Short. He's funny. You have a good time.
He does the Canadian Pavilion.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He did. I don't know if
He's not anymore. Then we had Goofy About Health, which was just kind of like this like section where you saw segments of
his old cartoons.
His old cartoons of him usually doing bad habits like drinking and smoking and how that's not good for you. Yeah. Things like that. Then there was a sensory fun house where they had like things that like things you can listen to, like optical illusions.
I can't remember this.
Things you can touch, things that they wouldn't do today.
No.
No touchy.
Excuse me, sir. Can you have your kid not touch my belly? I'm not part of the sensory thing.
They had the wander cycles. So think of this as the early Pelotons. So
Okay.
basically, it's an exercise bike with a TV screen, and so
I'm thinking Back to the Future 2,
there you go, Back to the Future 2.
where it's all like, keep cycling.
But it's fun too because you could tell it was old. I think it used to be those used to actually be in the old Communicore / Innovations building that they moved over into this building because they needed to fill it, and that was one of the things. And one of the things that you could do is you can ride your bike through Disneyland, go down Main Street, up and down Main Street.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
But they had several other videos that you could do. And then they had Frontiers of Medicine, which was actually frequently updated, where they showed you the new experiments with medicine and science in the medical industry. It was actually fairly updated up until the end of the sponsorship, which happened at the what was it?
On the first day, they were showing and this is how we leach the blood out of George Washington, and
So it was like the December of 2000 was when the sponsorship ended with MetLife, and it wasn't until summer of 2001 that they pulled all the MetLife stuff out, and basically they didn't update anything. I did forget to mention outside the pavilion was a DNA strand.
Yep.
75 feet tall DNA strand that went away after the attraction. And then it actually had...
He got blown away in a hurricane. They're like, nah, it's okay. Somebody's got in his front yard.
It's 70 foot
He's like,
DNA.
what the heck happened here?
There was also there's been two signs for the attraction's entrance. One was a big golden archway that said, the wonders of life, which they eventually repurposed and put it on top of the entrance to the TTA for the Magic Kingdom. So the Magic Kingdom sign, that used to be the wonders of life
Oh, nice.
sign.
They love reusing things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they said that this pavilion was actually more, it was designed to be the perfect Epcot pavilion to fit that theme of edutainment, because it was very engaging. And when it opened, it was very popular. People came to it like it was the most crowded pavilion for a good 3-4 years.
It was bumping when we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spent a while in there.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to
We
do.
were there like for a good 3-4 hours. No, not that long.
I don't know about that long.
Time goes by differently when you're 7 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
We were
in there for 8 hours.
We were only in there for 30 minutes. It was like, it was forever.
But yeah, Epcot was going through a growth
An identity crisis.
Identity crisis. You know, all these,
No one loves me.
The thing is, it still is going through identity crisis.
yeah, they still haven't figured out what they're doing with it.
His Frankenstein, like, we'll put a test right here. How about a centrifuge right here?
Moana? Yes.
Moana. The answer to everything right now is Moana. Moana.
Oh, everyone likes Demo. Let's just put these birds right here, and they'll just say mine, 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 mine.
But the honestly, the death nail for this pavilion was the end of the sponsorship, because Disney was not able to get a new sponsor for the pavilion, and Disney did not care to upkeep it at all. So a lot of the pavilions either just closed them, or they just didn't keep updating.
It's the general
It just
theme
kinda
for
fell
anything
apart.
that requires updating, and that's why Tomorrowland sucks.
Yeah.
Because nothing gets updated.
Yeah.
Unless it's got a Disney theme where it just stays there forever.
Yeah.
So I think it said after the holiday of 2004, Disney announced that the pavilion was going to go seasonal, which usually means it's dying.
It's
It's
Dead.
dead. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
dead. We're going to get rid of it soon.
Well, at that time, they're kind of doing budget cuts because the company itself wasn't doing great.
Yeah, you had Home on the Range coming out. And they're like, oh no, Roseanne tanked us.
Well, you have
We gotta
California
save some money.
Adventure opening, so a lot of the funds went there.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, California Adventure. There's a lot of
It's
things.
weird to think that like we were there around that time.
We were.
And they said that like when I was working there, like, yeah, Body War's still there. They just Frankenstein the pieces for Star Tours.
Yeah, so like when when the attraction did close, they ended up just using it for spare parts for Star Tours. They used it to test run the updated
Yeah,
Star
I remember
Tours,
that.
and now they're just gone. The vehicles are just straight up gone now.
Yeah.
Which it's speculated that they've just been scrapped and they're using it for spare parts now.
Makes sense.
But eventually, as the attraction opened up seasonally, nothing got fixed or updated during that time period while it was down, and nobody went to the pavilion. And they were all walk-ons. Everything was a walk-on. Most of the time, you were in the vehicle by like Body Wars. You had the whole 30 seat vehicle yourself. Same with the Cranium Command, a 200 seat theater all to yourself.
Well, the pavilion's kind of like tucked in the back.
Oh yeah, it's back there.
I forgot about it, honestly, and I worked right next to it. I would see it every day on my way to the break room. I totally forgot
I only
that
went
that was
there
place.
a couple of times for
Festival.
the Food and Wine Festival.
Food and Wine or Garden Show. They always have
Yeah.
like some sort of like expo there. And you always feel bad because it's like the show that no one goes to because no one knows it's there.
Right.
Well, come 2006. Hey, wait, I was there in 2006.
You were.
I was there. I got to ride Body Wars right before it closed on January
Did you?
1st.
Did you?
2007. Yeah, I rode it in that holiday season. They opened it up. I heard it was. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
You got off your bench that you were sleeping on in Magic Kingdom. You're like, I gotta go to this ride.
I gotta go ride Body Wars and see Cranium Command, and I did right before it closed. So
And what were your thoughts like when you were done?
I got absolutely sick. I was like, oh man, I can't ride this ride again. It was bad. Like it was like the motion was really bad. The motion for it. Cranium Command was great. I love Cranium Command. There was actually some fun facts about Cranium Command. The idea came about from an old propaganda film that Disney made.
What?
Reasons and Emotions, back in 1943, which is basically a cartoon basically talking how Nazis brainwashed its citizens. That was kind of what the cartoon was about, but it's about how the brain controls and does functions and things like that. So that was kind of the general idea behind this show. It was the last thing that Disney animated on cells.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Was this show.
Okay.
So that was cool. It was created in a period of 5 months.
Whoa.
Well, that's quick.
5 months. To
That's
make
fast.
This thing. Yeah, because they're like, when they were getting close to like, okay, we need to do this show, and they couldn't agree on anything. Once they finally had it, they had 5 months, and they.
It was probably like some guy had been working on it forever, and they're like, "Work on this weird cell thing over here, or this crane," and the guy comes out, like, "I've got this idea. How about this?" And they're like, "Sure, let's turn it into a ride.
Why not?
I was just improving everything."
It was a cool show about about the brain, about how you can a kid named Buzzy, or a character named Buzzy, I should say, who ends up being in control of I think a 13-year-old boy, and him trying to have to reason with all the different parts of the body: the left and right brain, the stomach, the adrenal gland, the bladder, the heart, left and right ventricles, things like that. So because they're all demanding different things, and so him trying to balance all of the wants and needs of all the different organs of the body, which is all filled with a bunch of SNL comedians, and it's definitely, it dates itself. If you watch it, you're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely old when you got Hans and Franz.
To Bob, you are
Right, exactly. But it also had a really good pre-show, animated by the same people who did Brave Little Toaster. So you can if you watch the pre-show, you can kind of see similarities in that art style. But the directors who did that pre-show, Jeffrey Katzenberg, loved the pre-show more than the actual show itself. And said, you know what? These directors have something. And so gave them the director job for Beauty and the Beast. Woo! Which is one of the most successful Disney animated films of all time.
That's up for debate in the next movies.
Well, how many have been nominated for Best Picture?
And a time when they only nominated 3 or 4 movies at a time. Yeah, no, yeah. We'll get more into like best, Renaissance. movies.
That comes into personal preference at that point.
No, but it's good. I recommend it.
But when the attraction closed, this stage, the show, Cranium Command, was left completely untouched. Eventually, they used this pavilion for the Food and Wine Festival, and a lot of Body Wars was used for storage. They didn't use the Cranium Command Theater at all, so it was left untouched. So a lot of cast members would go in there and eat lunch and with Buzzy.
We never ate lunch over there. We had a trailer back there.
But yeah, they would sit in the theater and have lunch with Buzzy. But eventually, I think it was in 2017. Somebody came in and stole Buzzy.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
And cast members are always talking about stealing things or like little trophies.
Yeah,
and
nobody knows what happened to Buzzy.
It's probably like a maintenance worker.
I'd say it's like an engineer.
Like an overnight engineer.
Yeah, because they get away with that stuff.
An NBA player, Robin Lopez, a big Disney fan, and one of his favorite attractions was Cranium Command, bought Buzzy's clothes online.
Oh.
Which he gave back to Disney once he found out they were stolen. Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Good old Robin Lopez right there.
So, but yeah, for years, they just used it as festival space, slowly pulling out everything that used to make the pavilion look like the way it did. Till eventually they closed it for an announcement for their new Epcot, and they announced the Play Pavilion, which has now hence been canceled.
Yeah, I was like, I remember that, but nothing's going on with that.
I always thought they should put Tron in there.
What was going to be in the Play Pavilion?
It was kind of be like an interactive screens and video game sort of IP based thing. Like it looked very cheap. It didn't look like it was something that was going to last long, which is probably why it got cut, because they go, this thing's going to get dated real quick, and we're just going to spend even more money on this. So I think they just cut it, and
it's kind of like those.
They cut it with Mary Poppins.
Well, did you guys see an option for that ride?
Yeah, the teacups.
It was literally going to be a teacups.
The Mary Poppins
like a Mary Pop, like Cherry Tree Lane
in Future World. Like
no. That was the UK pavilion.
Oh, okay.
UK pavilion, but it was gonna be like an inside teacups, like surrounded by a screen.
Ugh.
Yeah. God. So I'm like, I'm kind of glad they canceled it.
Yeah.
But
unless Mary Poppins was gonna ride the ride with you. Imagine being the Mary Poppins like, whoa, here's some sugar. I'll stop mad as I go down.
But this is truly like a really sad story for Pavilion.
That's really bad because it's like there's a lot of sad stories for these pavilions.
It is, but this one's really sad because it's still not anything.
Nothing's being done with it.
The second worst one would be Journey into Imagination. But there's still an attraction there.
It's a shell of what it was.
It's a shell of what it was, which I'm sure when we get to part 3, we'll probably talk about that one. But, like, this is an empty building that's just sitting there now.
It's wasted
There's
space.
A lot of wasted space.
At Epcot.
Oh,
so much.
The Lands has, like, restaurant that used to be there upstairs.
I honestly wish they just bulldoze Epcot and redesign it.
Whoa.
That's controversial opinion right there.
I just the future.
They pretty
world.
much did it. They pretty much did.
Kind of.
So would you keep the Epcot ball?
Yeah,
it's iconic.
Yeah. I would keep the ball and the World Showcase, but get rid of
She would
everything
bring
else.
back World of Motion, though.
No, I would not.
But yes, this is the sad story of the Wonders of Life Pavilion that is dead.
The wonders of why is this even alive?
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn. I've talked a lot.
You did. I was like, oh, there's a lot for a pavilion.
It's a big pavilion.
All right. On a more exciting note, I have the golf ball.
You have the giant golf ball.
I have the
You're
giant.
the image of Epcot.
You know, if the castle's is the weenie, then Epcot. So we're gonna talk about Spaceship Earth.
You don't have to get very far to get to that weenie.
Yeah.
It's literally like
It's right there. It hits you.
you're like, oh wow, it's
You
like
no longer
right
have
here.
to pass through the graveyard.
Yeah,
Oh, that was so weird.
the graveyard.
Where they used to people used to buy like a printed
It's like a
image
memorial,
on a.
yeah.
Oh, it's still there. It's just in the parking lot now.
But it's just creepy that people paid and you walk through and you're like, are these people alive or dead?
You know, NSYNC has a picture in there. They've got a picture.
Of course, why not? You know,
Go see JT.
JT.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah. Back to Spaceship Earth. So yeah, it's the big golf ball, and it was really supposed to be like the opening ride.
Yeah, but don't do it first.
But
It's a trap.
the funny thing is,
It's
it's
a
the
trap.
biggest trap to do it first.
Yeah.
It's a trap because that's like a 45-minute
It's like,
wait for. first thing in
don't
the
do
morning.
it before 12 o'clock.
And the thing is, it's a 15-minute ride.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want to do is like, all right, I'm up, I'm waking, let's go ride. And then you ride this ride, and it's like, it's 15 minutes long.
No, instead go to Universe of Energy.
It's the 40-minute.
Oh man, it was like, what do you do first? You're like, well, World Showcase isn't open up till 11 o'clock, so I guess we'll go here. So yes, what is the height of the ride?
I don't know.
What's-
It's gotta be
It's like
12
12 stories.
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's 180 feet.
80. Okay.
180 feet, and there's always that famous picture of Mickey on top of the.
Oh man, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
His
scared out
legs
of
are
his
like
mind.
their legs are just
Scared
chill
out
out.
of his mind.
You're
yeah.
like, is Mickey shaking his head or is he doing the jig? You know. So yes, it is a geodesic sphere based off the 1967. I think it's like Ontario World Fair. They had a
Something like
big sphere. So those were like the craze then. It's like, whoa, it's the future. It's a sphere building.
It's 18 stories.
18 stories. Makes sense. 180.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want like 20 foot ceilings. But the premise of the ride is to take a trip through the time, focusing on humanity, to serve the evolution or to see the evolution of human communication, as Jackie said. And the funny thing is, I've ridden that ride so many times, and I never got the message was.
You never got it?
It's- I always use it as an excuse of like, well, it's a dark ride for 15 minutes. It's the makeout ride.
Or the nap ride, if you're
I don't know.
alone.
The vehicle's not that comfortable.
It's not. Yeah.
Hey,
There's
only-
no padding in those seats.
It's really
And
good
there's no headrest.
There was a headrest. I
Was there?
thought.
Oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I think there is
Because
it does
you're
decline.
going, you're
You have
going to
to
climb
climb-
backwards,
yeah.
and that would be weird. Where you're like, my neck hurts.
You're right.
So it was kind of just like it kind of contrasted what the theme of Future World, because
Right.
it was dealing with the past,
Yes.
but it kind of it got you into the story to okay, this is where we are, and this is where we need to go with each pavilion for Spaceship Earth. So what is Spaceship Earth? It's our planet.
Yep.
It's our first spaceship. It's floating around in space, and it was kind of based off the thing. It wasn't kind of based. It was based off of our Buckminster Fuller's book about, I forgot what the name of the book was. There it is, Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth. And you're like, wow, sounds like a great ride operating. And Ray Bradbury, who's famous sci-fi writer, Fahrenheit 451, and then The Martian Chronicles, he's he's a big 20th century sci-fi novel writer. So he wrote the script,
That's cool.
the storyline of Spaceship Earth, and like
You got a really good writer there.
so I mean that's huge, and like
Yeah.
it was his dream to do something with Walt, and so when it came down to it, he's like, yeah, I want to participate in something that talks about humanity and giving hope of like
Right.
this is where we are, this is where we need to like, hey, we need to take care of what we got. And so it was, you know, I read that and I was like, that's so cool. And they did have one guy, I forgot his name, who did the narration, but then they like moved on to Cronkite.
Right.
And I kind of like that one better.
Oh yeah.
The Cronkite.
Cronkite was good. That's who did when we were there, I think. Or no, or
Yeah, he was there.
Was it Concrete?
It was
when
only
we
like
were
a
there?
couple, like it was like 3 or 4 years
Right.
that they had the original guy do it, and they didn't really mess too much with the script.
Yeah.
But the concept was communication between its inhabitants to spread relevant information to benefit our species or society. And that's what, like, as you go from scene to scene, so you have like cavemen putting like the artwork on the wall, and it's all like, yeah, that's great, but when you move, the information doesn't go with you.
Right.
And so you get the different, like you get the Phoenicians with the boats, and like they spread the word, and like the alphabet, and
Thank
so
the
you go from
Think
thank the Phoenicians. But yeah, it goes to the different periods with the Romans, the philosophers, and like the mathematics, and so you go scene by scene through humanity's history. And so it starts off with like, you start with communication, and then you go to the next, which is information, and then you go to like, you take that information and you use it for survival, and then from that survival you move on to advancements, and then it goes to civilization wider base. And that's kind of like the theme that they're going with communication. All this information I'm getting is from like Park Ride History on YouTube.
He's good.
So good.
Yeah.
He's good.
I'm just stealing it from him. I mean, regurgitating.
summarizing.
Yeah, it goes like, there's so much that went into this attraction because it was like, it's the centerpiece of why they were doing everything for Future World.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh, I get it. This is why Peter likes all these concepts when they all come together.
Like,
Do you
At
think
this
they'll
one
ever
point.
change it?
This ride, I don't-
They tried to.
I think they've
They
tried
they tried to turn it into a roller coaster.
Oh man, that
Oh,
would
yeah.
it would have been horrible.
Would have been
yeah.
a really short roller coaster.
Oh yeah, it looked really bad. Like it would like come out of the spaceship Earth too. Like it was gonna
Ugh.
go in and out.
I think they should just keep it as is.
Yeah.
Like, change if you're gonna change everything,
It's like
let it be an
Small
homage
World.
to be the
Yeah.
last like thing of Epcot. It's not hurting anyone. It's a nice
It's in
slow
the
ride.
middle, yeah.
The one thing because like you guys like to give me a hard time about my love for Epcot, which you now understand.
I understand it now.
Because like this was like these attractions that opened with Epcot. These were the type of attractions that Walt was kind of leading into.
He was.
And so like this was kind of like, even though this was like 20 years after Walt, almost 20, like 15 years or so after Walt. Like this was kind of like the last bit of Walt that we got was
Yeah.
early Epcot.
And then they fired all the
And
Imagineers
they
because they were
fired
like, we don't got
everybody.
anybody. We don't have anything to build.
Right.
Yeah, no, it is, and it was built on like, this is Walt's love for the World Fair, and like the World Fair fizzles out.
Yes.
You know, that 60s time period, and it was going to be a permanent World's Fair, and it's hard because World Fair was sponsor driven, and
Yeah.
this is sponsor driven. As we've seen, the sponsor driven attractions
doesn't do
die so quickly
They do.
if they don't have like a catchy like Sherman Brothers song, you know.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Accurate.
yeah, I mean, this attraction, you know, I had like 3 different periods, as the recording period, the disseminating period, and the processing. And it's like, wow, you see like the evolution of communication, and it's all like, they should have shown like the next phase is to show like the internet and like the dumpster fire, like
Twitter.
we were doing great, and now this is what we have, you
Twitter,
know, like
Facebook. Oh,
and
no.
like, yeah, no, it's one of those things like, of like, the internet's brought us all these things, and it's like, I think it's that transitional period for mankind with getting all this information to where it's like, it's so raw, and it does go on the theme of like, we're just in a transitional period to get us to the next level of survival and like building a civilization. And like the whole theme was to teach us that we need to, advance ourselves and civilize this spaceship so we can leave to go to other places and do it right, as opposed to like, well, this one's a dumpster fire, so let's go to Mars. Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's go to Pandora and get the unobtainium. And what's the
and
new
kill
one
the
called?
indigenous population.
Yeah.
Just kill them all.
What's the whale?
I read
juice?
that in Andrew Jackson's history, right?
What's the whale juice called in the second one? I don't remember. I don't know.
I didn't see the second movie.
Oh, you haven't seen the
I
second?
haven't seen
it.
No.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen it yet?
No, I just watched the first one on my trip to Hawaii, so.
Well, then spoilers. There's whale juice that they're after in this one.
Dang it! I can't watch it now.
Is it like blue milk?
It's like
Is it? Oh, so is that the next thing?
it's whale juice.
They're gonna sell
whale juice snow cones.
That's what they're selling.
It's like, why is my snow cone yellow? And you have like Olaf going, "Don't eat it."
Well, they have that at California Adventure.
Yeah, the yellow snow.
The yellow snow.
It's good.
So here's some let's do some numbers. How many tiles are there on?
Tiles?
How many tiles?
I don't know.
Are we in the thousands?
Yes.
Definitely.
It's below 20,000.
I'm gonna go 16,000.
I'll go 13. In the 13 range.
Peter's closer. It is 11,324.
Wow.
11,324 tiles. And there are 954 triangular panels. And it was created, like, it was designed for this. I mean, there's no like panel triangle guy going around like, hey, want to build a geodesic sphere in your park?
Well, the funny thing was, when they wanted to build this geodesic sphere, the engineers were just like, you can't do that. You can't make a circle in the air. Like, and they're like,
Watch me.
well, you can do half circle, right?
They're like, hold my beer, watch me.
Yeah, they're like, we can do a half circle, right? Yeah, we can do a half circle. Well, what if we make two half circles and put it together? They're like,
oh, maybe.
yeah, I guess that'll work. Yeah.
And that's what the leg structures are there to support it.
I like the light additions that they added to it, and they do like night lighting shows. It's nice.
Would you allow Disney to put 2,000 on top of the Epcot ball again?
2,000.
Like
the year 2000.
The year 2000.
Oh my gosh,
It was so bad looking. I remember when I went to Disney World in person the first time.
Like, what did you do?
And it just
it
looked
was
like
2000 when you went.
Yeah,
to the first
and
time,
it was just like a cardboard like cutout. It looked like
it was structure. It was not cardboard.
It's not cardboard.
But
The rain hits. It's like flapping. It's flapping in the air. Oh, look, it's waving at us.
The Mickey hand is made out of cardboard.
It looked like it.
It was, that didn't last long. And then
It did last long.
It
That was the
last
problem. It lasted long.
Was it there for you?
Oh yeah, instead of 2000, it said Epcot. Yeah,
that's right, it did.
Yep.
It wasn't there when I got there. How many points are on the ball?
Points?
Oh,
I don't know.
3,840.
There we go.
So here's a question: what's bigger, Test Track? No, I don't even know if that one's true. I'm just making up things. What's bigger, Spaceship Earth or the Seas?
The Seas.
I would say the Seas is.
No, you could put Spaceship Earth. Oh wait. What's bigger? Nah, I can't even remember.
Because I thought it was.
I was like, no, you could put Spaceship Earth in the seas.
The seas.
That's how big. Yeah. I was
the
like,
seas
wait.
is really big because you're hosting
for a
Soarin'.
long time. For the long. No, that's the land.
Land.
The
I'm
seas.
sorry.
The big aquarium. It was when we might talk about this on the next episode. But like the seas was for a while like the biggest aquarium on the East Coast for years.
And then Atlanta built one, and it was bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was in like Okinawa, and they were like, "This is the second largest aquarium next to Georgia," and I was like, "Oh man!"
Yeah.
It's like it's this amazing aquarium. I'm like, I'm bummed out. I'm in only the second best. Thanks a lot, Georgia. You ruined my experience.
Take a back seat, SeaWorld. Disney's got a bigger aquarium than you do.
And so there was a good quote at the end of the ride. I thought it's really good. I'm kind of finish off on that. It says, "Now our future world draws near. To face the challenge of tomorrow, we must return and take command of our spaceship Earth, to become captains of our own destiny, to reach out and fulfill our dreams." And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it kind of like sums up what you were originally going to Epcot for, was learn how to become better captains and stewards of this planet. And now we're just all like, let's go on mission space after we eat a bunch of food. Oh, let's go on test track. Watch out for the dummies. And you're just like, after like reading this, I was like, wow, what a beautiful script. Yes. And then I'm going, this place is a dumpster fire now theming. It's like, I thought
totally
California Adventure was, but this place just takes the cake now.
I totally get and I love the original concept of like Epcot and original Epcot, but I think the world was just too conceited and like wanted like
give me
thrills and like
we're not ready for it. We're not ready to be captains of our
They
planet.
don't want to change. A lot of individuals just don't want to change, and they just want to have fun and have the flares.
And it kind of made me sad just thinking of like, and I was like, oh, I get Peter now. I totally get Peter and his like love affair of Epcot. I'm
getting emotional. I'm like, someone understands me.
I'm not alone. After all the like razzing we give you with it, and it's true. Like, and you can ride the ride, and it has the same theming, and you know that's what's good about this attraction is that it still has that original Epcot feel. And
it's also got all of the Hall of Presidents in there as well.
All of them have been.
They're all in. All the U.S. presidents are in the spaceship Earth.
So it's you know, I always enjoyed the attraction, and it is kind of like, I think they should leave it there.
Yeah.
You know, if they're gonna change everything else, that's fine. You've already destroyed the whole theming.
Yeah.
So just, you know, leave that
Keep
one
a little
attraction
bit.
as just like a footnote of like what they were trying to do there, and kind of like Walt's dream of having a forever World's Fair for people to be inspired, you know, and you know, I do appreciate, you know, that what the attraction, you know, was doing and setting up for the theming of like the humanist thoughts of like being good stewards to ourselves, our community, and our own planet. And so I appreciate it, Peter. You've won me over. It took me 2 episodes.
All right.
Before I was like, Horizon, bulldoze, baby, bulldoze. Bring on Lieutenant Dan. Now I'm like, I want Horizon.
Yeah, you're the commander, and you push some buttons.
I'm the engineer. Oh, you brought the wrong straw. You might as well take a nap. So that's all I've got for Spaceship Earth.
Well, thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm glad. I was worried when you said, "Oh, I think I'll close," and I'm like, "All right,
bulldoze, baby, bulldoze."
yeah, right. But it was great, and let us know what you thought. Let us know if you got to experience any of these attractions, and if you haven't, please go check them out on YouTube. There are many videos online of these attractions which people loved, and so they were able to document them before they disappeared later on. So go check them out. It's great. Let us know what your thoughts are on the current view of Epcot and how bad it's looking.
Do you think Epcot is amazing now, or should we go back to old Epcot and theming?
Neither.
Jackie just wants
I want a whole new.
I just want sticky floor Coca-Cola drink store.
Yes, I do. Bring it back. No, they have.
Once you go in, you can't unhear that stickiness.
I want Beverly stations at every pavilion.
It tastes horrible.
Drink
You have to do it. It's at Disney World.
Drink
a
it. It's
tradition.
free.
I don't want to. It's like when we played the Harry Potter like jelly bean game, and I ate all the good ones. And I left you all the boogers and dust. I think that's what Disney does with the Coca-Cola. I think this Coke's gone bad. We'll just put it in this pavilion. We'll make them eat it. It's free.
Well, what was funny was for this last, this last April 1st, literally the only soda available was Beverly.
Oh my
At
god.
Club Cool. I don't think it was on purpose, but it just so happened that
On April 1st.
On April 1st.
It tastes the same. This is
It
world.
was the
A
only
cast
soda
member did
available.
it.
Oh, yeah. Moleste. I don't care.
But let us know what your thoughts are. You can email us at matterhornyodelers@gmail.com. You can message us on all the social medias, Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter page. And for all those who are new to listening to the show, we are seeing a current upswing in our listeners. So welcome.
I learned about AI, and I've got AIs listening to us all the time.
Oh, is that
I'm
what
pumping
that
those
is?
numbers up. Woo, those are rookie numbers. Let's get this thing going. No, I'm not doing that.
No.
I'm a casual listener.
But we hope we're providing you good information that you'll want to stick around and listen to more. So thank you everyone for listening, and until next time, auf Wiedersehen. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.